here again, and in this week's lesson, we're talking about, or at least my video blog, we're talking about information literacy and what that is, and then how we could use that or apply it to a history HIUS 221 course that we were given in our assignment. Watching this week's video presentations, Dr. Schultz gave us a good idea of what information literacy was and what it involves. And with that information on hand, I went ahead and did some more digging to come up with some more information about information literacy to kind of see what it involves and how we'd go about using those principles for this History 221 course, which is basically, it's like a gen ed history type course that covers the early parts of the United States history, basically from the colonial period up through Civil War, yes. So with that in mind, I went ahead and did a search to find out what information literacy is. And I found a good description of it. It was on Stanford University's website, and they had a nice kind of summation of what it is. And basically, they used the Presidential Committee on Information Literacy to come up with what they were saying. And the Presidential Committee defines information literacy as a set of skills which require an individual to recognize when information is needed. Not only recognizing it, but you also need to have the ability to locate, evaluate, and then to effectively use that needed information for, say, a project you're working on. So now that I kind of have a better idea of what information literacy is, I went back to the Jerry Falwell Library website, and I went to the database that we need to use, the America's Historical Imprints, to come up with some good primary sources when working on a project. And so when you open up the America's Historical Imprints website, they have some suggestions as far as some historical things you could look at. So what I thought I would do is, okay, let me pretend that I'm a college student and my professor has given me an assignment to write, and I want to write on the Tea Party. So I go down through and I find the link for the Tea Party, and I bring up some information that involves the Boston Tea Party. That's the big thing that we think of when we talk about Tea Party. And so through that, I can find some documents that were written back during that time to kind of give me some historical background as to what led up to the Boston Tea Party. But even for me, and I know I'm pretending to be a student, but one thing I found fascinating, and maybe I knew it and forgot, I don't remember, but the Boston Tea Party was the big tea party that we remember, and we know why and what led up to it. But there were more tea parties throughout the states, the colonial states that were involved. And I remember one that I came across in particular. It was down in South Carolina. And they had a tea party down there too, in Charleston. It was not on the scale. None of the other tea parties that were around some of the Atlantic states were as big or important as the one in Boston. But there were other tea parties around, and they had one in Charleston that kind of just reinforced and helped spread some of the thoughts and the reasons why the Tea Party was done originally. So with the America's Historical Imprints website, I was able to get more information about the Charleston Tea Party, some original documents, and then same for the Boston Tea Party. And it was a great website to come up with some of the primary sources that we would need to have for our research project. I think you'll find it very interesting using that website. It has a lot of great information, and it's primary source, which is great, and we need as historians for our projects. Thanks, and we'll see you again next week.